Actually, a lot of people have been saying, at least around State College this morning, that from the apartment fire last night, some of that, you could still smell the smoke this morning, and with the bit of, the inversion that it's still set up overnight, it kind of traps some of that down in the low levels here. But clear night giving way to some clouds. You can see we do have a warm front that's trying to go through, and some of the clouds are increasing. I have pretty thick clouds then as you go out to Ohio. There's still some breaks in them here in Pennsylvania. But we will be continuing to thicken these clouds up. I don't think that tomorrow we're going to see a whole lot of sunshine. And in fact, tonight with the presence of more clouds, it's not going to be as cool as some of the recent nights have been. So it's going to help to keep temperatures up a little bit. Heading into the day Friday, I'll zoom out a bit so we can get a bigger sense of what's going on. This has been the surface reflection of that slow-moving storm system that's really been over the plains and the Rockies for the better part of a week now. The first reflection of this is what brought Denver the snowstorm later last week, and it's been slowly moving to the east. We have right now, this is the current 500 millibar pattern. There's a pretty good Greenland, or just east of Greenland, block going on. It's really helping to slow everything down. It's part of the reason why why the pattern's been pretty slow moving. And that's slow. It's trying to change, although the forecast problem going forward is really how the block up in eastern Canada and up towards Greenland, it wants to try to dissipate and then it tries to reform, and there's going to be some like a dumbbelling effect of just how it all interacts. So the pattern going forward is not the easiest one, and forecasting in the spring is not always easy, but and I think, at least for Pennsylvania, while we will be staying generally on the warm side, the pattern, once we get past really today, does at least open the opportunity for some more rain to fall. So at least with this first system, here is the 9Z Stref, and you can see that right now, or about right now, it's not doing too bad with how it's initializing things. This is valid at 2 o'clock, and you can see that rain back to Ohio. It's picking up on the idea that there's really not too much of it. As we go through tonight, as this warm front continues to move through, there can be some sprinkles or a very light shower that crosses parts of particularly western and central Pennsylvania. I don't think it's going to be too much, enough to wet the ground, maybe a few hundredths of an inch, a tenth of an inch in parts of western, north central Pennsylvania. For the day on Friday, as the actual vortex associated with this comes through, we'll get into some PVA. It's still going to be, we're still going to be in this broad southwesterly, southerly flow. So I think the rain for the day Friday, while the main event, so to speak, not that it's much of an event, it's more reserved for the afternoon for the majority of the state. In the morning there'll be some showers in western Pennsylvania, and then they're going to slowly start to migrate eastward into later Friday and Friday evening. But again, it doesn't look, it's certainly not going to be the soaker we need, but we can probably, I would say, much of the state can get somewhere between a tenth and a quarter of an inch. Dew points at the present time right now are in the 30s. They're starting to come up. So originally, though, once this first batch of rain moves in, there will be some evaporation with it until we can fully moisten things up for Friday. Then as we head into early on Saturday, there can be some residual shower and sprinkle activity in southeastern Pennsylvania, which is going to start to finally move away. Although some of the more operational models, the GFS and the Euro, are now starting to suggest that that vortex lingers a little bit over the Delmarva area. So southeastern Pennsylvania, the showers might actually try to linger a little bit longer than if you would have asked me yesterday. But as far as central and western Pennsylvania, Saturday should end up being a day of some pretty decent improvement. I'll go over to this is the new GFS, this is the 12Z, and it's showing a similar idea. So right now at 500, the ridge crest is now passing us. We're starting to get into some positive vorticity advection. The main vortex is still back out over northern Missouri. And then as we go into tonight, you can see that it starts to swing through. It really comes through, actually, it's a little bit slower now than it was the last few runs. But you can see later Friday and into Saturday is when the vortex comes through. You can see down here at the surface reflection, similar idea. There's going to be some showers around, but it's not particularly widespread soaking rain. And then going into the day on Saturday, you'll be able to see a little bit here what I mean. Some of the models now are trying to get this to linger a little bit down here towards Virginia, and you can see that, while at least on the GFS, the shower activity is really south of Pennsylvania. It's close by, so I think southeastern Pennsylvania through maybe midday Saturday at least has to be on guard of the clouds being a little bit slower to clear and still allow for the opportunity of a shower. But here in central Pennsylvania, Saturday should be a day of improvement. Still on the mild side. This isn't a very powerful cold front moving through, and I still think with the combination of sunshine and we'll be able to get into the 60s on Saturday. Then, if we'll keep going here into next week has always been a bit of a forecasting challenge once it's been entering our realm of forecasting time here. I'll actually go back and show the progression of how this is being handled. Whenever you get sort of this blocky pattern combined in springtime, it's the time of year when you can still have some pretty chilly air lingering not too far to your north, and you can start to build some pretty warm air masses not too far to your south. These are all valid for next Tuesday, 0Z next Tuesday, but I went back each day, Sunday at 0Z, Monday, Tuesday, yesterday, and today, to just try and see how the models have been handling next week, and it hasn't really been a good period to get a perfect grasp on. So you can see this past Sunday, this is the Euro ensemble, you can see that there was a pretty good indication of another anomalous trough heading into the southwest, and we'd be on the end of a bit of a ridge. And then next day, Monday, about the same time, there was still a pretty good idea of what was going to be happening out in the southwest. However, then there was an indication that with that Greenland block happening, that underneath that there was going to be a pretty good area of anomalously low heights not very far away from Pennsylvania at all. In fact, this is now Tuesday morning. West was still being handled pretty well, but then there was indication that there might be a boundary that comes through here early next week, and if it went far enough south that at least northern Pennsylvania could get pretty chilly early next week. But now, yesterday, watch this carefully as we go to Wednesday, indication was not as close, and now this morning, really not so close. And now, actually, early next week, the trend is now becoming that at least Monday, if we can get, so in here, there's pretty good cold air mass that's going to be residing up in southeastern Canada. It's going to be pretty warm in the southeast and the mid-Atlantic, and somewhere in between there's going to be a trouble zone. And Monday, if that's able to stay far enough to our north, and we'll still be able to get some sunshine before the clouds start to spread in, Monday can actually be a pretty warm day for most of Pennsylvania. A few days ago, it was looking like it could be a situation where northern Pennsylvania was pretty chilly and southern Pennsylvania was pretty warm, but now it's starting to look like Monday could actually be a warm day. It wouldn't surprise me that some areas make it to 80 again. Dew points this time too, because of more of a southwesterly flow. Dew points Monday could actually make a run at 60 in parts of southern Pennsylvania. So Monday could actually be a bit of a humid, more May, June-like feeling day. But then it does appear, though, that indeed on late Monday and Tuesday, as another disturbance gets spit out of the central plains, that we will be able to get some more rain in here, and then a boundary is going to slip through, and Tuesday and into the middle of next week might be a little bit cooler. So we'll go back to the GFS and see how that's handling things. So later on Monday, you can see that, or this is early Monday, the next system is out over the central, the northern plains, and up toward the Dakotas. Pretty good surface flow associated with that. The high plains, Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas could get a pretty good amount of rain out of this early next week. And then as we go through time, you'll notice that this will be moving to the east and weakening a bit as it does so, but by Tuesday at 0Z, so 8 p.m. Monday, the tight packing of the thickness gradient is north of Pennsylvania. So the boundary still at this point, while you can see the models trying to bring some showers into northern Pennsylvania, a little bit earlier on Monday, you can see the 850-10 line covers most, if not all, of the state except for this little dent here in northeastern Pennsylvania. So at this point, we haven't gotten into the active clouds at 700 millibars. It's warm at 850. I think Monday can end up being a pretty warm day before things start to cloud up. And then Monday night, that's when this boundary starts to slip through. So you can see by 6Z on Tuesday, that's when we start to have the presence of some active clouds, some showers. You can see that thickness gradient is starting to get closer to Pennsylvania. And then later on Tuesday, well, whether or not there's actually a low that tries to form in this or not, in any case, Tuesday looks like a day where there's going to be some patchy light rain around. This boundary is going to go through, and then while it doesn't get cold behind this boundary, it will be nevertheless cooler. You can see by later Tuesday and then Wednesday, Pennsylvania's, at least according to the GFS, is more like 4 degrees, 5 degrees, 6 degrees at 850, which for this time of year is pretty much normal, around what it should be. And then you can see, well, I won't really go further on time. By that point, there's another system gathering out in the west, and that will eventually try to work its way toward the east. So at least next week, the pattern is more so of one where we don't have this big blocking high that's parked over the eastern U.S. It's still going to be on the mild side normal to probably slightly above normal, but we at least invite back the chance for some showers to occur next week. And just because we can look at the Euro's prediction, same thing, see how the agreement is. For this first system coming through, you can see here's the vortex coming through the plains on early Friday morning. Here's 12Z, so 8 a.m. You can see the Euro, it has some grays through central and western Pennsylvania again. Not enthused on a lot of rain, but there will be some drops and some showers around. And then later Friday, still some showers around, but you can see the same deal here. It's slowing down the exit of the vortex and the precipitation just a little bit. So by 12Z on Saturday, which is here, you can see central Pennsylvania is likely still improving, but there's still reason to believe that there can be some pesky clouds and maybe even a few showers still left in far southeastern Pennsylvania. And even later on Saturday, you can see that it's really trying to keep some showers not too far away. So the progression of Saturday's clearing has been slowed a little bit, but I still think it's a nice day. Sunday looks like a dry day, and then similarly here on the European model, you can see on Monday, it's a little bit closer with this boundary, but we're still in some southerly flow. The 850s on the European are at least 10 through much of Pennsylvania, even some 12s here approaching the southern tier of the state. So similar concept next week. There's been a pretty good agreement that that trouble boundary dividing the pretty chilly air up here in southeastern Canada from the warm air in the mid-Atlantic. It does appear as though that boundary is going to stay far enough north to get a warm day around here on Monday. And then as we go into Tuesday, it's, again, in pretty good agreement that this boundary starts to slip far enough south, and we'll get this disturbance to travel along it, that Tuesday we'll get a decent shot at some showers in here. Although, again, we've been in a dry time. This week, 3-4 days ago, the progression of this system tomorrow looked a little bit wetter than it does now. So while Tuesday and into Wednesday, right now it does look like we have a decent shot at rain. It would not surprise me if it looks a little bit less impressive as we get closer to it. And it's really a difficult time to handle. So here's a different look at the 500 map. So by next week, or as we'll start now anyway, there's the first system that goes through. You can see in a weaker state, but trying to linger just a little bit into Saturday. A little bit of a ridge axis comes through on Sunday. And then next week, it's really handling how there are some weak disturbances that get spit out of the main vortex over the Dakotas. So this is Monday. This is very early Monday or very late Sunday night. You can see there's a little tiny vort that's north of Pennsylvania. That boundary is going to be residing right about in here over southern New England. And it's really trying to figure out how this disturbance over the northern plains and up toward the Dakotas, how it shoots some energy eastward, how quickly it weakens, if it comes through in a bit of a stronger state and we can get a surface low to form along the boundary. It's the one thing that's pretty clear is that you're going to get another pretty good closed low coming into the southwest. And later next week, as you see that rolling eastward, at some point later next week, we might have to talk about a severe weather event in the south, but that would probably be, given this timing, this rolling out sometime on Wednesday, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, we might have to start thinking about severe weather in the southeast. But around Pennsylvania, we're going to keep the mild streak going, and then now, again, Monday I think is a day that's looking warmer than it has compared to a few days ago, and then that boundary is going to go through Tuesday, next best chance at widespread showers, and then in the wake of that, it will be cooler middle of next week, and we'll be in a pattern where, as these disturbances keep rippling eastward, with no big blocking high over the east, there's at least the opportunity to, while we won't make up our rain deficits, we will at least try to counteract them from getting a whole lot worse, at least in the next 7 to 10 days or so. So it's 12:56. That's about all I wanted to say. So if anybody has any questions or discussion points, I'm all ears.
And could you just pull up the SPC, see if they have any anything out in days 4 or 5 or 6? Because I think there could be some severe weather next week farther west.
Yeah, hold on. So they...
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is on, this is a day 6.
And that pattern in April with that trough out there, little vort max is coming out of there.
Yeah, so this is day 6. Day 7, they have a little area up in Missouri, and day 8, they have it again down south.
If Trump doesn't say anything really stupid next week, severe weather would be the lead story one of the days next week.
And all bets are off on that. On Trump, that is. Anybody else? Sure.
Just for trivia purposes, Weather Underground right now is going for 80 degrees here on Monday.
Oh.
So they bought into the warm scenario for Monday.
Yeah, I'm wondering, at least in southern. So I was looking at the data from before, and I was curious if Monday is actually a day where some areas, at least in southern Pennsylvania, can actually eclipse their warmest temperature so far this spring. Because Philadelphia put up an 82, Harrisburg I think was 81, Pittsburgh was 81. So I'm just wondering if Monday's it'll at least challenge it. So Monday could actually be just as warm, if not a little bit warmer, than the warmest day so far this spring. And combined with the humidity, I think it'll at least feel worse. When we got into the 80s a few days ago, the dew points were pretty low. And like I say, Monday I think is the day where the dew points will at least get into the 50s, if not touch 60 in the south. So Monday might be a bit uncomfortable feeling for some.
So should we guess what the temperature will be up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Does the weather center get warmer? Is the weather center going to be the warmest spot in the state? Could be.
They may have fixed it.
I don't know.
Keyword is May.
Yeah, May.
Take over.
All right, anything else? Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you very much.
Next week's our last briefing for this semester. We'll have Rich from the National Weather Service office in State College. Give the last one as tradition.
Mike, do I have to do anything else with this?
I'll be leaving.
Thank you.